So this film just gave a whole new meaning to a pair of Jordans. Unless you want a pair of Foot Locker. So the film Sinners is about a set of twin brothers who are originally from Mississippi. They spent a number of years traveling and committing crimes, and then one day they decided to return home to their hometown because they wanted a fresh start, only to discover that it was something evil waiting for them when they got back. So after being gone for a number of years, they came back home and they reached out to family and friends, and they explained to them that they were trying to establish a new business, and they needed a little help. And compared to what they were doing in the past, this was actually something positive. Because sometimes in life, people might not give you a second chance. If you're a well-known criminal, you do dirt and you run the streets for a long period of time, after a while, you build a reputation, and that reputation will follow you as you get older. You just know not to cross certain people. Guys like this, you don't want to disrespect them or do anything to cross them, because what's going to happen is you might catch a hot one, or you might find yourself unalived. Now, Sammy is the younger cousin of Smoke and Stack. And when they returned to town, they reunited with him and they explained what they were trying to do with their new business. And I think he was excited about it because his dream was to be a blues musician. His father didn't approve because, he wanted him to get more involved in church. I don't know if he wanted him to preach the gospel, but he definitely didn't want him he didn't want him to be a blues musician. He didn't want him to sing the blues. If anything, he wanted him to compose music for religious purposes, but that's about it. The relationship that Sammy has with his father, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Choir Boy in the Five Heartbeats. Choir Boy dad told him straight up. He was like, man, look, you can't serve two masters. Either you're going to be in the house in the church, or you're going to be out on the streets. And Choir Boy was like, well, God gave me this voice in the first place. What's the point of me having this voice if I can't share it with the world? His mom was supportive, but his father was not. And after Choir Boy left his Bible at that gas station, your boy was outside. The actor that plays Sammy, his name is Miles Caton, and this was his film debut. And to my understanding, he's a recording artist in real life, and this dude can really sing. I thought the cinematography in this film was great. I liked how they shot certain scenes. I thought all of the actors had great chemistry. One of my favorite actors of all time has always been Delroy Lindo. You might know him from some of his previous films. He was in Malcolm X, he was in Clockers, he was in Gone in 60 Seconds, he was in First Time Felon, and the list goes on. I've been following Michael B. Jordan's career for a long time too. I'm guessing it started back in the late 90s, maybe 1998, 1999, because the first movie I saw him appear in was a movie called Black and White. And after that, he was in the movie Hardball. And then shortly after that, he was on the TV show The Wire. He played Wallace on The Wire. And I would say after he left The Wire, that was probably the thing that boosted his career, his film career anyway, because after that, I only saw him in movies. Overall, I enjoyed the film from beginning to end. There wasn't too many things about the film I didn't like. The only thing I could think of that I didn't like was the fact that they didn't show any flashback scenes. I don't recall them showing any flashback scenes. And there was a period of time that Smoke and Stack, they were living in Chicago, and they spent a number of years living in Chicago. They were involved with the Italian mob, and they were running the streets doing stuff. Stack had a relationship with Mary, and Smoke had a relationship with Annie. And I wish they would have explored that a little more. There was some dialogue, like throughout the film, they did talk about their past relationships and things that happened in the past, but they didn't show anything. So I'm guessing once the Blu-ray and the DVD comes out, like when they shoot films, they cut a lot of scenes, so they have like a lot of deleted scenes and alternate endings, stuff like that. So I'm guessing when the Blu-ray is released, maybe they'll take all of those scenes. Maybe they'll explain more when the Blu-ray and the DVD comes out. If you think character development and how they ended up becoming the person that they were in the film, I think that's important to show those flashback scenes. That's just how I feel about it. Some people might feel differently, but that's just how I feel. And I just wanted to add one more thing. Even if you're not a fan of watching vampire movies and vampire television shows, I still think you'll enjoy this film. And if you're already familiar with all that traditional vampire stuff, this movie, it follows all of that same stuff. Like vampires, they can't come out in sunlight because, the sunlight will kill them. They'll burn up. What else? Oh, yeah, if you get bit by a vampire, they become your maker and they can control you. And a vampire, they can't enter your home or your facility unless you invite them in, that type of stuff. Yeah, we're already familiar with all that stuff, so that's inserted in the film too. So if you're a fan of The Vampire Diaries, Twilight, True Blood, Interview with the Vampire, 30 Days of Night, stuff like that, then you're already familiar with all that traditional vampire stuff anyway. And if you decide to go watch this film, make sure you don't walk out when they roll the credits, because there is a mid-credit scene and a post-credit scene. I kind of anticipated that anyway because it's a Ryan Coogler film, and if you've seen both of the Black Panther films, there were a bunch of post-credit scenes and mid-credit scenes. There weren't any in the Creed films, but I know in both of the Black Panther films, there was always post-credit scenes. Thanks for watching.